are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Hoops Podcast. I'm Dylan Awooding on Twitter, here to talk today about the Final Four. Because, yes, Auburn is back in the Final Four for the second time since 2019. Second time ever as well, thanks to the helpfulness of one Coach of the Year and Bruce Pearl. And, of course, some of the best players in the country, starting off with Johni Broome. I talked about the previous game versus Michigan State on the War Report Sunday evening. Was not able to have a show Monday. I got swamped with some homework trying to get my master's degree. So, yeah, it was a rough day Monday trying to get that in. But Auburn, good day in the office versus Michigan State. And now you're going on to take on the Florida Gators this Saturday at 5:09 CST. Florida currently stands as a 2.5-point favorite in this game. But ESPN FPI is still going to favor Auburn here, 60% in favor of the Tigers. Now, this matchup is something we've seen already this season. Auburn did play Florida at home earlier this year and took an L. Their second loss of the year and their first in the SEC was to the Florida Gators. And it was a 90-81 loss. Of course, a lot of people said it was a lot. It felt like it was a lot farther away than it was. It was a 9-point loss, but it felt like a lot more. Auburn started off hot and then just got into a slump. Could not get themselves out of this whatsoever. And of course, in that game, we've talked about this before, Denver Jones did not have a great day. 0-4. You had a decent game from guys like Todd Bedford who put up 14, which, right now that sounds like a slow night for him based on how he's been playing lately. You had a great game from Kenny Johnson with 13 points. Johni Broome, 18, and Miles Kelly had 22. Now Auburn, this game versus Florida, this to me feels like whoever wins this game is going to win the national championship. That's what it feels like to me, because I think that whichever team comes out of this game is the most complete team from 1 to 5 to 6 to 8, all the way through the roster. It feels like whoever comes out of this game is the most complete team. Now, Duke and Houston are going to be, it should be a fun game. Probably very low scoring as opposed to this game, which could end up being high scoring amongst the two. Auburn, though, the question is, how healthy is Johni Broome? Now, I did hear that he missed some practices. Will he be 100%? Because Auburn desperately is going to need Johni Broome in this game to move on to their first ever national championship. So, you look at this. Florida has Walter Clayton Jr., who is, by every stretch of the imagination, is the best guard in the country. And whoever says otherwise does not know ball. And I would even argue to the fact that he's probably been the second best player in the country outside of Johni Broome. I would argue that fact whatsoever. I think Walter Clayton just does not get enough love from the national media, just because everyone just looks at Johni Broome and Cooper Flagg. As they should, but Walter Clayton definitely deserves some respect for what he was able to do this season with the Florida Gators. And of course, Florida is a team that Auburn, struggled against. Alex Condon had a field day versus Auburn. He put up like 20 points in this game. It was 17. It felt like 20. It was 17. Got a double with 10 rebounds. Walter Clayton against Auburn had 19 points and 9 assists. Also had 6 rebounds. Was very close to getting a triple-double. They're almost their entire starting 5 got double-digit points, and then someone off the bench came in and got 16. Now, this is going to be a big game for Dylan Cardwell and Johni Broome together. Florida is a team, again, they're one of those teams that we've talked about that is a team you'll rarely see this season in terms of just size. They're a team that can outman Auburn in the paint because of the sheer size they have. Alex Condon is a massive individual, and he's hard to rebound over him. Johni Broome is a good defensive rebounder, but when it comes to offensive rebounding, it's just not there, especially whenever you play teams that match them in size. Dylan Cardwell, same way. Auburn has just not been a good offensive rebounding team this season. Now you go into the guard play. Guards are going to be a heavy factor in here too. You got to have someone who can lock down Walter Clayton Jr. And you're looking at guys like Denver Jones, Todd Pettiford to do that. Now, Miles Kelly, you're going to have to get a good game out of him. He has been, I don't want to say in a slump, but definitely has had some off night shooting in this tournament. And luckily, you've had Todd Pettiford to kind of take over the games. And you've had some decent performances from Denver Jones to get that done. But you're going to need to have every man available and every man having their best night. Auburn is a game away from going to their first ever national championship in basketball. And you're going to need the depth of your roster to show in this game. Florida is a team, again, that I thought going to the tournament, it was the hottest team in basketball. Because that's how they played. They played like the best team in the country. And I saw them play versus Auburn, and they just completely outdid everything Auburn wanted to do. Completely manhandled across the entirety of the court. I'm looking at, and I'm trying to find a specific matchup to look at here, but I mean, every single position needs to be on their A game in this game. Dylan Cardwell might need to have his best game of his career in this game. Because if Auburn's not able to get those second chance buckets, it's going to be a rough night for the Tigers. And I mean, with it being in San Antonio, I mean, I don't know how that plays into how the mindsets of the guards are going to be. But if I could go back and look at the last game. I don't remember Miles Kelly putting up. I think he put up a couple of threes, but not a whole lot. Miles Kelly in the last game put up 8 points. Denver Jones had 8 points. Even then, you had Todd got 10, but Todd had a great night from playing defense. But it's just been a very slow tournament for the guards. Like Miles Kelly is a guy who, like a match, can just catch on fire in an instant. I need him to do what he did versus Florida in the previous game with the 22 points. You're going to have to get the same production you got out of a few of those guys that you saw, but you're going to need other people to step up. I mean, in that game versus Florida, Denver Jones had 2 points. Chad Baker-Mazara had 6 points. And I can't really say much for Dylan Cardwell getting 5 or Chris Moore getting 1. I mean, that feels like that's a pretty decent day for the both of them. But Chad and Denver are going to have to be in their A game in this one. You're going to have to get your starting 5 all in double digits more than likely. Because Florida, and of course, again, I don't think Florida's played their best brand of basketball over the past few games. I mean, Texas Tech had them on the ropes until the very end of the game. Maryland had them for a little bit. UConn took them down to the wire. You've not seen the best version of Florida that we've been used to seeing this season. But then again, Florida, they're a team that I fully believe can just lightning quick get back to the swing of things. Todd Golden has Florida right where he wants them. And if Auburn's not careful, Auburn could be sent home packing after another Final Four appearance. And, I mean, it's still a successful season. I mean, I said it. I mean, it was a success once you made it past the Elite Eight. That was my entire thing. But you have the team. You have everything in you right now to be able to win a national championship. And it's in your grasp. You've had the best regular season out of any team in the country right now. You've had the best season in Auburn basketball history. You had the SEC regular season title. You got the number 1 overall seed. The national championship is right there. And when I get to my prediction, I mean, it's hard for me not to boog a bit and pick Auburn in this. I mean, I don't think there's been a game all season long where I've picked against Auburn whenever I've had the preview shows come out. But it's hard not to with the season Auburn's had, with the team that I've seen on the court. And whenever this team is playing their best brand of basketball, I don't think there's a single team in the country that can beat them. So when I look at Auburn versus Florida, I'm taking the Tigers. And do I think it's going to be a blowout? Absolutely not. This is going to be a close, down-to-the-wire defensive game. I could see – I mean, I talk about this game being a high-scoring affair like it was last time, 90-81. This game could be even lower than that. I mean, you look at the last few scores Auburn's had, 83, 82, 78, and then you play Michigan State with 70. Florida, I mean, they put 95 up against Norfolk, but then 77, 87, 84. I mean, this game could be, I want to say, like a 75-70 game. And that's my prediction. It's 75-70. I'm going to take the Tigers in the Final Four, go on to play the national championship game, where I think they're going to meet the Duke Blue Devils. I think everything is kind of pointed to that. And I don't say it like that. I mean, knock on wood. I find it hard to believe that Houston could find an offense in time over the course of a week to find a way to keep up with Duke. I think Houston has a great defense. And that showed when they played Tennessee. I mean, that game was ugly to watch on both sides offensively, but Houston was able to take advantage of Tennessee's defense and put up more points. Then again, Duke is a taller team. They're a more talented team than Houston is. Do I think Duke is the harder matchup? I absolutely do. But I think Duke's going to go there to the national championship. I would rather be Houston, just strictly because I think it'd be an easier chance. But the storylines would be immaculate. You get a revenge game in the Final Four. It'd be even better to get another revenge game in the national championship. So with that, I mean, yeah, I got Auburn winning the Final Four versus Florida. And then Sunday, we'll be hopefully previewing the national championship game. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. However, I need to manifest a national championship appearance for Auburn men's basketball. But, yeah, that's my prediction. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you think the Auburn Tigers will be playing in their first ever national championship in men's basketball? Let me know what you think. Comment section below. Leave your predictions as well. What do you think Auburn needs to do to get the dub over Florida? I'm going to quick little break. Let's have this break. We're going to keep it in the basketball realm because Auburn picked up their first transfer of the, I don't want to say off season, but I mean, the first transfer portal acquisition was made yesterday. So stay tuned. It will be right back. Are you tired of having to rummage through just clothes after clothes after clothes, looking for something to wear? Are you tired of your friends making fun of you for your terrible fashion sense? Well, do we have the shirt for you? Go to thewarreport.com, get your laptop out and do it right now. Go to the shop and get your very own Feelin' Loopy t-shirt as well as your college loop hat, and you can get both of them for only $25 each. Plus shipping and handling, of course. But with that, now back to your regular scheduled program. Sports available on thewarreport.com. Go to the shop. Second page, I do believe, it's college loop merch, the hat and the t-shirt, both available, $25 each. Go check that out today. But of course, if you don't want the merch, it's perfectly fine. To me, it's like the fifth best way you support the channel. The best way you support the channel is, of course, by subscribing to the YouTube and by liking and commenting. Again, letting me know what you think of the Final Four matchup for Auburn. Do you think they get the dub over the Florida Gators? Now, with the transfer portal opening up as teams are getting eliminated left and right, and Michigan has lost some players. Trey Donaldson's back in the portal. Flory Badunga is in the portal as well. A guy who was pretty much it was capped. I don't know for sure. I can't really speculate on that if he was Kansas or Auburn. But Auburn was heavily involved in Flory's his recruitment, so it would not be a terrible landing spot for him, and it'd be a great landing spot for him, in my opinion. But Auburn has made their first portal acquisition for the 2025-2026 season in Big 12 leading scorer and UCF small forward Keyshawn Hall. 6'7", 235-pound player out of Cleveland, Ohio, averaged 18.8 points per game last year, 7.1 rebounds, shot 42% from the field, shot 35% from the three-point line, and here's the icing on the cake, 81% from the free throw line. That is what I want to hear for every single portal acquisition or any acquisition I hear of going forward. So, I mean, you look at this is going to be his fourth stop in just as many years. And he's had a steady improvement from year to year. Started his career in 2022 and 23 at UNLV, where he averaged 5.4 points per game. And I think he only averaged like 10 minutes a game. Second year, transferred to George Mason, where he averaged 16 points per game and got 30 minutes in that season. Then this season, of course, he was a starter back-to-back seasons, 18 points per game. And I do believe, not mistaken, he has had a couple of big time performances this season. I do believe he got a 40-point game. Yes, he did. 95-89 win over Arizona State. Hall was able to get 40 points, and this is not the only time he's put up a lot of points in the game. You look in the tournament, in the Big 12 championship, actually second round, put up 25 points in the first round, put up 23 against Oklahoma State, put up 34. You also got another 34 performance from Kansas. So if he got a chance to talk to Flory during that game, it would be a massive pickup to add to that. Because right now, as it stands, Auburn's roster is going to be pretty depleted going into next season. As you know, you're losing pretty much every single starting player outside of maybe Chad Baker-Mazara. I do believe he will return though. You're also going to be getting, maybe Denver Jones. You hope Todd Pettiford isn't picking up enough traction in the NBA realm to enter the portal, and then Ja'Kai Howard. So if you go by the guys who I think will be back, Hod, Ja'Kai, and Chad and Denver will probably be your four you're bringing back. And, of course, you're bringing Sebastian Williams-Adams, Caden Magwood, and Simon Walker from recruiting, all four-star guys. Caden Magwood, though, absolutely ridiculous, dude. He's popped up so much on my Twitter feed. He is absolutely ridiculous. And then, of course, we're bringing in one transfer right now in Keyshawn Hall. Auburn is not done in the portal. Once they manifest time, once they win the next championship, manifesting that, Auburn's going to be in the thick of it for so many transfers. And now, of course, I already forgot about Abdul Bashir out of JUCO, another recruit. Absolute dog as well. The number one overall JUCO player is going to be playing 6'7" to him as well. Auburn's going to be a tall team. Simon Walker 6'4", Sebastian Williams-Adams 6'8", K Magwood 6'1", Hod 6'1", Denver 6'4", Chad 6'7". All Auburn's missing right now is a big. Starting wise, you're going to need a lot more. But I do believe Flory is in the 6'10" range, if I'm not mistaken. I could be confusing him with someone else. He does play center, 6'9", so would probably be playing the 4 role for the Tigers. They can get another guy who can step in that 5 spot. But I mean, it's going to be a fun off season for Auburn basketball in terms of just talent acquisition is going to be ridiculous because Bruce Pearl was well aware of the team he built up, and that's why Auburn basketball has been so good this year, because they're a veteran-laden team. You got one of the top 30 oldest rosters in the country, not any higher than 25, I believe. So any old jokes can kind of get thrown out the window because this is a stupid joke to make whenever they're not even the oldest team in the SEC from last year. But I mean, looking at Auburn going and looking ahead to Auburn next season, I mean, it's going to be a completely different team. Outside, if you bring back Chad, Hod, Ja'Kai, and Denver, you got 4 guys coming back out of like a 10-man rotation. So that's 40% production coming back. And then you have the young guys coming in. And, of course, Keyshawn Hall will be another veteran to add to that. He'll be going into his senior year. And, I mean, it's going to be a fun year. Regardless, Auburn basketball future, at the start of the year, before you got the signees and everything, and you're kind of worried about next year looking ahead, it already looks like Auburn basketball's future is still very bright because, of course, you got the best coach in the country. I have him right here that I got whenever I bought my new car. Bruce Pearl, of course, it should be. I don't know if he's won the actual national coach of the year, but he definitely should be winning that one, as well as Jai Brew winning the Wooden Award. but bright times ahead for Auburn basketball. It truly is a blue blood of the sport in every sense of the word. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section below of how much you love the Keyshawn Hall acquisition. Number one small forward in the portal, if I didn't mention that already. Absolute dog and a half. So as we prepare for the Final Four this Saturday, 5:09 p.m. CST, Auburn currently by betting odds the underdog, which works best in Auburn's favor. Of course, I'm predicting Auburn to get the dub, move on to the national championship. And you know what? I'm hoping Monday evening I can drive up to Auburn and start throwing toilet paper all over the place. That's what my dream is right now, is looking ahead to that. So with that, thanks for watching some of the College Loop podcast. And yeah, I just forgot my entire outro for a second. Thanks for watching some of the College Loop podcast. Don't check us out on social media, all of them, at Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, the works, all of the College Loop. Check us out on the audio versions of the show as well on Spotify Podcast, Google Podcast, and Amazon Music. Check me out on Twitter at YaBoy, at YABOY the Tank, and Instagram as well at Larck, DYLENLERCK. And don't forget to always like, comment, and subscribe to the College Loop right here on YouTube. And as always, War Eagle and Call God.